In a bid to avenge the death of her father, a new villain arrives in the city of Gotham. The villain imitates Batman, and she makes the people believe Batman is killing. How will Batman clear his name? Hello, Anytime here. Today, I will show you the recap of an anime titled Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. The movie starts during a meeting between some crime lords as regards to their new product. Mr. Soul brings the product out, and the other sitting members are proud of it as they all think of how much they will earn from that product and how much the sales will boom. Their business discussion is interrupted by Batman. He enters the room and he swings into action. As they see him, they know they are his targets. So they try to attack him with guns, but he throws his blades at them, and they are defeated. Soul escapes from the encounter as he takes the package and runs out the door. His well-planned escape doesn't go well. He sees a person with Batman's outfit by his car, and when the person comes closer, he notices it isn't Batman. He asks the man what he is and why he's attacking him, but all the man says is that day is his judgment day. As the man is about to kill him, a car passes by. He gets distracted, and Soul uses the opportunity to run away. He goes to a car and attempts to escape, but the man hangs on his car. The man hits the mirror of the car, but Soul swings his car toward the side, and this strange man falls off. He drives off, and he sees the man coming at him, so he plans to hit the man with his car. He turns the car and drives very fast towards this man, but the man disappears, and he drives off the cliff. His car hangs towards the opposite building, and the killer, who's putting on a Batman outfit, checks him out. All the people on the ground see the outfit, and they assume it's Batman that killed Saul. Following the death of Saul, some of the notable men in society come together to campaign against Batman. They insist that he's a criminal, and a functioning society shouldn't support a criminal, and Batman should be brought to justice. At the Batcave, Alfred brings Batman the broken glass from Saul's car. When Batman checks it, he sees signs of chemical residuals on the car. That night, Bruce organizes a dinner at his house. During the dinner, several ladies come to him, and they say his cave is big and it should have a partner. One of them comments that the word marriage shouldn't be said around Batman, while the others ask if he's interested in engagement. One of the ladies he had broken their hearts come to him and pours her wine on him. He excuses himself, and as he walks away, the councilman asks him if he needs a handkerchief. He asks the councilman for their investigation of Batman, and the councilman sarcastically replies that their investigation is moving better than Batman's love life. He asks about Batman's ex-girlfriend, but he has forgotten the lady's name and eventually replies, Andrea. Following that conversation, Batman goes into his room and he remembers Andrea. He remembers the first time he met her 10 years ago. On that fateful day, he was visiting his father's grave. He overhears the lady speaking and he goes to see if he's talking to him, but she tells him she isn't talking to him. As he walks away, she speaks again and says, "Do you know the man going? He's Bruce Wayne, and despite how rich he is, he dresses boring." Bruce goes back to meet her and says he heard his name. She tells him she's talking to her mother and enjoys talking to her mother out loud because it makes her assume her response. The lady who introduces herself as Andrea says she's done with the conversation and she's leaving. He walks her to her car, and she asks him why he dresses boring and says her mother wants to know his reason. On the same day he encounters Andrea, he goes for his first Batman act. He sees some thieves stealing from a warehouse and how they have tied the security. He intervenes, and although he defeats the men, one of them runs away with a truck. He climbs on the truck and struggles to call the attention of the police patrol car. The driver hits the patrol car, thereby injuring the officers, and Bruce eventually captures the man by throwing his weapon to destroy the tires. Some days later, he practices his jujitsu. He tells Alfred that although his first mission is successful, he feels the criminals do not have fear for him, and he has to instill fear. While he trains, Andrea arrives. She tells him that she has been expecting his call, and most of the men who get her number call her. She asks him what he's doing, and she uses her defense skills to fall him off. He uses his leg to fall on her and lies on her. They share a kiss, and Alfred brings Andrea's drink and sees them in that situation. They start going out. At present time, one of Saul's friends, Mr. Buzz Bronski, visits him at the burial ground with two of his guards. Bronski asks his guards to wait for him by the car, and as he leaves, His guards talk about the rumors that Saul was killed by Batman. As Bronski gets to Saul's ground, he throws the flower at Saul and says Saul has always been a loser. He hears some sounds around, and he turns. He sees the same man who had killed Saul. The man tells him it's his judgment day, and as the man walks towards him, he, fortunately, finds an axe. He throws it at the man, but the man throws it off. The man walks towards him until he enters into a pit dug for a corpse. He's unable to leave, and at this point, he screams for help. His guard enters the mortuary to find him, and they call out for him. The man throws a statue at him, and he dies. His guards find him, and they see this man with the Batman outfit leaving the premise. They assume it's Batman who has killed Bronski, and all the newspapers carry the news. The notable men in the society meet together, and they insist they will figure out who Batman is and arrest him. They look out for Batman, where he spends his nighttime, but they do not meet him there. On the other hand, Batman visits the mortuary. He sees signs of chemical residuals, just as he found on the glass. As he checks, he overhears a voice. He goes towards his father's grave, and he sees Andrea there talking to her mother. He runs away immediately. He tails Andrea and watches her meet with the councilman Reeves at a restaurant. They hold hands, and he gets jealous looking at her from afar. He remembers when he went out with Andrea 10 years ago, and how Andrea told him her father wanted to meet him. Although he didn't plan for such dedication, he went to meet Mr. Beaumont, who was glad to see him. They talk, although their meeting was cut short when Beaumont says he had meetings with his partners. On Andrea and Bruce's way out, he sees some people trying to steal from a man. He interferes, but he gets defeated. He gets home and thinks about his Batman's axe and feels it isn't for him. So he decides to propose to Andrea and marry her. She accepts his proposal happily, but one day he gets a mail from her with this ring where she tells him she's traveling with her father and she's too young to marry. That night, Bruce wears his cape and decides to be Batman again. Presently, the leader of the group, which Saul and Bronski are in, Valestra, an older man who lives in oxygen and feels he doesn't have the capacity to face Batman, goes to seek Joker's help for protection. Bruce starts browsing about the group. He sees Valestra as the leader and finds a picture of Andrea's father and the group member. He asks Andrea what she knows about the group, but she denies having any knowledge about them. That night, the clone Batman, who's actually the Phantasm, goes to attack Valestra to deliver his judgment as he has done to the others. However, he finds a dead Valestra with a camera and Joker's voice. He runs away before Joker sets the room ablaze, and Batman goes to confront him. As they fight, the police arrive and attack Batman, who runs until Andrea comes to help him. That night, Andrea tells him her father was financially involved with Valestra, which was why she had to run away with him. He used the money for an investment, and he got rich. He decides to pay the debt back, and he attempts to pay, but the gang no longer wants just money. They had accumulated so much interest on the money that they couldn't pay. So she says she assumes it's her father killing the members of the gang, and she will find him. He apologizes for screwing Batman's life the second time, and he tells her she isn't screwing his life and loves her. Joker visits Reeves and poisons Reeves with venom, and Batman goes to visit Reeves at the hospital to ask him of his involvement with Andrea and her father. He tells him he only helped the Beaumont to escape from the city, and Mr. Beaumont sponsored his election. Meanwhile, Andrea remembers the day Valestra sent Joker to kill her father. Batman also figured Andrea was the killer. She goes to the abandoned park to kill Joker, who has figured her out and attacks her. She fights against Joker, and the fight gets tough. Batman arrives and speaks to her. He tells her she doesn't need revenge, but she insists that the people who took her father and her future with him away should die. He tells her to run away while he goes to attack Joker. Joker makes him wander around the building, which has been set to explode. Andrea returns, and she tells Batman that whether she dies or not, it has to end now. The building explodes, and Batman escapes. He assumes Andrea is dead, and he's saddened by it. Alfred consoles him. He tells him he doesn't think Andrea wants to be saved. Batman goes to Andrea's chain and sees his picture with her. On the other hand, Andrea is seen departing Gotham, and Batman, who has been cleared of all charges against him, continues his duty to save the world. Thanks for watching the recap. Kindly subscribe to our channel to get notified when we post the next recap. See you next time.